things like typing and tapping or using even technologies like events, I have strong interest in it. And one of the things that makes me interested in it is I like that power of being able to get it about. Although obviously it's authorization, I require a page to do that, right? So, and also, I personally love anything that brings me ease. Like whatever brings me ease, I'm most likely exploring it. And that's the main reason why we are having this conversation today. You know, we are talking about AI, and arguably, we can see that it's not arguably, undeniably, we can say that AI has improved everyone's life here. It's like a very rapid growth. From I think we experienced the very fast pace of adoption of AI in 2024 down to this year. We had the introduction of technologies like GDG, Gemini, and even non-developers and developers get to use them through their day-to-day tasks. So for me, times, most of this code gets repetitive. It's monotonous sometimes. I will tell you that there is an application and we want to introduce like a new feature to that application. Rarely do we have to write something really new. We are just maybe adding something that already exists and maybe modifying some little bits. So those kind of repetitive tasks, I call it like boilerplate jobs. So I could just ask AI to help me do it, and it takes me a lot of time. So I don't have to start doing what I already know how to do, and let it take 10 or 30 minutes of my time. So one other thing I do is I promote test-driven development. So when I write code, I like to test them because I do not want to have you or you are going to end up using the application to be able to tell me there's an issue about it, right? So I let AI generate me different test scenarios. So you might have a screen where you log in that screen, you can sign out in the screen. So I can tell AI to help me generate those scenarios. There are many things that happen in the screen, and I can miss out on some points, you know, right? I'm human, I can make mistakes. But you know, this type of mistakes is less for AI, right? So I can tell AI that, okay, looking at the screen, generate me a test scenario. So what are what are the things that you think I should be testing about the screen? So AI is going to generate me the expected test scenario of that screen. Then sometimes I can feel too lazy. In fact, I can ask it to help me write the test, the actual test. The test takes writing codes too. The one other thing again is I'm not a very big fan of maybe sitting and crossing my leg and let AI take charge and write the entire code for me. So I prefer to be a lot more in charge. So I can literally sit in my environment, copy some snippets, ask it more explanation about that snippet, or even get an explanation of a module that you have idea about. I just want to know, rather than going to the code, reading through all the code, wasting a lot of time. I could just say, I have this module, explain it to me. What's the summary of what's happening there? Then I get explanation, saves me a lot of time. Snippet 2, I can see a snippet of code looking very, very difficult to grasp. So I'll just copy it and ask AI, what does this thing do? Looking to code. It's going to explain it to me and save me a lot of time here. So that's it about I do more of that in at work. But in my personal life, I have to be someone who enjoys history. So I could ask AI to tell me about, for example, the Byzantine Empire, or I want to know more about the fall of the Roman Empire, or maybe politics, it could be religious, it could be anything. I even introduce a bit of fun sometimes. I can just ask you to tell me a story. You just come up with a made-up story, and it's going to use the voice to tell me, then I get some point, it gets tired, I'll ask you to continue, like that. So I catch fun like that. So yeah. No, it doesn't get tired, but it's not anymore. So I use it a lot, basically, and we can attest to that as it improves our lives. So, going to the topic of today, Firebase Studio. What is this Firebase Studio? But before I go into explaining what Firebase Studio is, I would in a way want to know if we have experience with AI personally, like within the crowd. Who has experience with AI? Are you using it for anything, whether coding or not coding? You can raise up your hands. Okay? Who is familiar with this term, vibe coding? You understand vibe coding? Interesting. Okay. Who knows Firebase? You've used Firebase before? YouTube. That's nice. Alright, so lucky for you all, this event, this topic, Firebase Studio, does not really connect the technical guys alone, right? Whether you are a developer or a non-developer. Okay, let's even know. How many people here are developers? Can you raise your hands? It does not no matter your level of proficiency, it does not matter. Whether you just write a piece of code. How many? What about you don't have any experience with development at all? You don't write code. Can you raise your hand? Well, interesting. I think we have more people who write code here. Yeah. So what benefits from this? Whether you write code, whether you don't write code, you have something to gain from this session. So what is Firebase Studio? I'll try as much as possible not to use too much technical jargon. I don't want to mention things that make me sound very, very experienced. That guy, the IV tower that knows everything. No, I'll use relatable terms, right? So I would save you the stress of maybe googling what Firebase Studio is and see the very technical explanation of what they have there. So in a very simple layman term, Firebase Studio is a chat. It's a platform for building AI-powered apps using chat. You understand chat? You're using chat. So you have it over there. Firebase Studio is a chat-based development environment for building AI-powered apps with little to no code experience. So whether you have a technical background or you don't, you can use Firebase Studio to build applications. And how do you build this application? By telling it to build the application. That's it. You just provide it some set of prompts, then it goes ahead to infer the meaning of your prompt, then give you an output. So there are better ways to give it a prompt so that you get even better performance from those models. But then it's something we'll be talking about later in the session. So something for the very technical guys, right? We've made a definition for the non-coders. So now, the non-coders now have understanding of what Firebase Studio is. For the coders, I understand they now have an understanding of it. But then, let's ground it. So you could see Firebase Studio as a set of three tools, right? Firebase Studio, set of three tools. Firebase, an AI agent, and a cloud IDE. IDE, Integrated Development Environment, IDXS. Who has ever used IDX before here? Who knows about IDX? Okay, so IDX used to be like a Google solution that uses cloud infrastructure for writing code. It's an IDE, Integrated Development Environment, for writing code online. You know what IDEs are, right? You use them to write your code, use something like VS Code, Android Studio, PyCharm, IntelliJ, and so much more. You use them to write code. So you notice when you are using them to write code, you use it to write code in your local machines, right? You have to install them, you get to use them offline without internet. So IDX used to be a solution from Google. They made it possible for you to write your code online over the browser without having to download all those set of tools. And you do not also have to worry about the configuration. You know, when you want to build something like Python, for example, you want to install Python, a specific version. Now, you worry about that. When it comes to IDX, it has all of those environments set up for you, and it reduces the cognitive stress on a beginner. You don't have to worry about different versions of all of these languages. Everything is set up. So when you are very technical, you have no experience, you can start deciding the exact version that you want. You know, maybe you want to even go back to an older version of Python or an older version of Java for whatever reason. You can do that because now you have the experience to be able to do that. So that's what IDX is. So IDX used to be, Firebase Studio used to be IDX. So if you Google about it, you see something like Firebase Studio, formerly IDX. So it became Firebase Studio the moment they introduced the power of Firebase Studio. I will explain what Firebase and AI agents are. So it became Firebase Studio the moment they introduced Firebase and its AI agents to it. So when they introduced it, they got to rename the whole environment and call it Firebase Studio. So if you enjoy technical and theoretical stuff, you can check the theoretical explanation of what Firebase Studio is. So it is a cloud-based AI integrated development environment designed for building full-stack application using natural language. We talked about prompts the other time. We use natural language to build these applications. Via visual input, it combines the capability of Firebase Studio and AI agents. So, what is this Firebase AI agent and Cloud IDE? We've explained what Cloud IDE is, right? But we have not talked much on what Firebase and AI agent is. So again, it is going to be a bit tough on the non-coders, but we know we have to strike a balance here, right? We have to still explain some bit of things for the developers that are in there. So for Firebase, you can imagine Firebase as a lightweight version of Google Cloud. If you know Google Cloud, it's a lightweight version of Google Cloud for building mobile and web applications. So when you want to build applications, ordinarily, right, you need two sets of people. You need a front-end person and a back-end person. Now, a front-end person writes the code that displays a visual representation of an idea, right? So that thing you see on your phone when using an app, maybe if you're using Google, the Gemini, ChatGPT, that thing you see that you're able to interact with, it is built by a front-end engineer. So when you pass in instructions to maybe handle some things, that front-end person cannot handle the whole of that your instruction there. They've got to send that information to somewhere, which is usually called the backend. So the backend handles this instruction and gives feedback back to the client. The client is usually regarded as the mobile app you're interfacing with. So then displays information. So that's how the chain of communication works. So when you want to develop these apps, you start from the front end. Sometimes you see the need to move fast. because maybe you do not have the expected manpower, the set of skills, because the languages sometimes you use for the front end are not exactly the same language you use for the back end. So it means you can tell that if you do not have some other persons to be able to design the back end, you will have to struggle in doing that. So you can imagine Firebase as a solution that helps you close that gap. So instead of worrying about who is going to be your backend engineer or who is going to work on your backend infrastructure, you could just leverage on using Firebase. And it's usually fit in for any solution. Startups can use them, MVPs. You just want to create a proof of concept of an idea. Rather than going for a full-blown solution, you could just use Firebase that requires you to write this code and you do everything by GUI. You can have access to many products on Firebase like the database, cloud messaging, and so much more. There are some AI tools also that can be accessed by that Firebase. Then an AI agent. An AI agent is just like a software that uses artificial intelligence to perform tasks autonomously. So they require less human interaction to get things done. So we can relate AI agents to solutions like Gemini or maybe ChatGPT. You see that you don't need to give it a lot of instruction or make it take a lot of things to get things done. Just tell it a prompt. It answer you a lot of jargon, put it on your face, which most likely is the solution of what you're looking for, right? You don't need to do so much. Because we call AI agents solutions like Siri. You don't need Siri. You use a Siri, you just say hey Siri, and then it can like answers you and gets you get done anything you want it to do. Then self-driving cars, in a way, you see them as AI agents because they work autonomously. So those are AI agents. So there is an AI agent part of Firebase Studio. And that AI agent is the part that handles helping you writing code, prototyping your ideas, and so much more. We've already touched on Cloud ID, right? So I don't have to say anything about it again. So if you care, this is the diagrammatic representation of what Firebase looks like. We explained that it is a set of three tools. We have the Firebase, an AI agent, and a Cloud ID. So we also said that within Firebase there are other products. We have Firebase Authentication, Firebase Cloud Messaging, the Firebase Database, and a lot more. And remember I said the whole of Firebase Studio infrastructure is built on Google Cloud. So it's running exactly on Google Cloud. That means it can still leverage some other products that are available on Google Cloud. But Firebase Studio makes it easy for you to interact because, trust me, Google Cloud is an overwhelming environment. If you open the website, you're going to see a lot of products that you can use from it and it can really get confusing. But Firebase help you just put together most of the important products you will most likely need when you're building an application, especially for mobile and web. So that's why Firebase is mentioned and it's used within the field tools for Firebase Studio. So Firebase Studio do have key features. One of the key features is ample prototyping agent. So when you are using Firebase, let's say for example, you have an idea, maybe an idea to build a bookkeeping app, and you have no experience of writing code, right? Usually your go-to person will be a technical person, right? You also need someone who knows how to write code, then you explain your idea to them, they give you a deal, most likely, then they help you build a solution and deploy it, right? But with Firebase Studio, there is a part of the feature that is called prototyping agent. So this prototyping agent, it uses AI to give you like a prototype of your idea by just providing it prompts about your idea. So you just basically tell Firebase Studio what your idea is. Like example, like building a storekeeping app. So you just tell it about the storekeeping app, then it's come up with a detailed idea about how to build a storekeeping app. So one interesting thing about it is before it proceeds to prototyping your idea, it brings up something called a blueprint. Like a blueprint is just like an architectural diagram of what is expected to be built. At the face of architectural diagram, you will make changes, right? Before you go to the initial business phase. So it gives you like a blueprint. So you will see the blueprint, it's itemized based on features. Then styling. Styling is something like the color of the app, how you want the typography, like the fonts to be used, maybe, I don't know, big sensari, and so much more models. So you can decide what fonts you want Firebase Studio to use for you. And you can as well decide what colors, set of colors, and there are how colors are used when creating application professionals. So they are grouped in, this is one technical thing you do not have to worry about, right? So they are grouped in primary colors, secondary colors, and colors. So you just use a set of colors. So you just decide how you want it to be. Maybe you want to change the color, you can change the color. Using all of this, you don't have to write code to get it done. You can get it. You can even use human language, like use yellow. You don't have to go to the technical yellow color, maybe the hash or something, the X color, yellow. Just say use yellow, use blue, you don't have the color, it's going to work for you. So yeah, one other feature is Gemini Code Assistant. If you already know Gemini, Gemini is a model for Google, right? So it is a large language model also for writing code, asking questions, and so much more. But when it comes to Firebase Studio, a part of it for writing code is what is used in Firebase Studio. So this is a part of Firebase Studio that handles the instruction of actually going into the environment to write the code, come up with the idea, write everything that is expected to about whatever prompts you are giving it to handle. So again, one other feature is direct access to Firebase products. Now we have mentioned a lot of Firebase products earlier when we explained what Firebase was. So when you are using Firebase Studio, you are rest assured that you have like an intertwined connection to all the products on Firebase. So you don't have to handle things manually. In fact, when you start a Firebase Studio project, immediately a Firebase project is created for you, and also a cloud project is created for you out of the box. You don't have to do the connection because there are some manual connection you have to do. Like there's a Google service, a JSON file, you have to add all of these things. You don't have to do that. This makes it easy for non-coders. You don't have to worry about how it works, right? So the next key feature is the ability to import existing code base. Now this is for the technical guys. You know, it's possible that you already have something you already use. You just want to leverage the use of AI to maybe add a feature. You don't want to do it manually. You know, I told you the story about how I use AI as my own work. So for me now, for example, I could decide to import my code base into Firebase Studio, then give it the prompts about adding new feature to the code base, and it's just going to handle it for me, provided I give it the right amount of information it requires. Firebase App Hosting. This is a very interesting one. It's interesting because usually when you have ideas, you build solutions, you have to deploy them. So deploying them means that you are making it accessible for other people to be able to use them from any region here, right? And whether you use solutions like content management solutions like WordPress, Wix, they also make use of deployment. And usually they embed deployment tools internally so that it makes it easy because those environments are also for non-coders. So they make it easy for you to deploy the solutions again. Now with Firebase Studio, it features that kind of feature in it. So when you finish prototyping your ideas, or maybe you finish writing a full-blown application in Firebase Studio, you could decide to deploy the entire project with a click of a button within Firebase Studio, and it deploys it for you to a server that can make it available for access. You could even attach it to a domain. There are vendors of domain that you can connect it with. Everything happens within Firebase Studio. So you don't need to worry just too much about the underlying infrastructure, how do I buy a domain, how do I connect the IP, all of those things that you usually need a very technical person to help you do. You don't need to do that. You just need to click the button. Whenever you're ready, click on publish and it does the magic for you. So one other thing is accessibility over the web, over the browser. So you can access the whole of Firebase Studio over the web browser. And I was giving an example about some other IDs you can use locally, like IntelliJ, PyCharm, Android Studio. You could tell that when you want to use all of these environments, there are a lot of requirements. You have to do some setup for the language you want to use, downloading them. Some of them you need to have serious understanding of how to register it in your environment and all of those things. So because we now have Firebase Studio, you can access Firebase Studio on the browser, you don't need to have this understanding. Just go straight to work and write your code, give it the prompt to handle. In fact, you could actually use Firebase Studio on mobile. So when we get our demo state, if you cannot join us via your laptop, you could join us on your mobile. Interesting. The features are not limited to this. There are a lot of features, and we cannot of course cover them all here. But when we get to the point of demoing, where we enter the environment and we are giving it prompts, I will try to touch on some other features I might have not mentioned. Right? So how it works? So how you this Firebase Studio is, first of all, we provided the prompt. The prompt is a set of instructions you want it to do. You build me a snake game, for example. That's a valid prompt. You see, like, as little as that sounds, there are a lot of information hiding behind build me a snake game. But Firebase Studio is so intelligent to be able to pick that information that is not entirely complete and act upon it to build you something that actually works. It is that intelligent. However, I am not advising that you give half-baked prompts, right? You want to ensure that you give it enough instruction so that you get a better response. Because usually, the more instruction you give, the better chances of you getting what you want. That's how it works for any IO. So the next is a blueprint. Remember I told you when you want to build something like, for example, a snake game idea game. When you tell it to build a snake game, it doesn't just go ahead and start building. It gives you a blueprint of what it's trying to do. For example, for the prompt build a snake game, it's going to first tell you the key feature. It will say, okay, I'll build a snake game and the snake will grow by 10% its initial size whenever it eats a food. You know, when we play work-based snake game, not careful, right? So it's a very nice game. Right, so you know when you eat a food, there's how much the snake grows. And when it's that very, very big food, it grows even bigger, right? So it gives you those set of instructions on how it's going to go about it. It's going to tell you that, okay, I'm going to let the snake pass through the wall. You know, there's that very difficult stage, like you can't let the snake pass through the wall. So when it gets close to the wall, you're filled, right? It's going to give you instruction telling you that, okay, I'll let the snake pass through the wall. It's going to give you additional instruction that you can pause the game. I'm going to add up, left, right, and bottom controls, right? So let's imagine you want to make it a lot more difficult because I don't know, maybe I get this. You do not want the snake to be able to pass the wall. You want it to make it that when the snake goes to the wall, the game ends. So this gives you the opportunity to be able to add that change. Now you see, it just give you an idea of what's going to do. So you can now tell it that, okay, that part where you said you want to make the snake pass through the wall, I don't want that. I want it to, when it gets to the wall, it should be game over. If you give more information like being able to keep score, if you find information missing in it, you can add it and say, okay, yeah, I want it to make it possible for you to be able to keep track of my scores. You know, when you eat food, you want to be counting it. You want to have the game's level to difficult, medium, simple, and all that. You can ask it to all of these things. It also displays to you the color, the set of colors it wants to use. So if you're a person who is heavy on aesthetics, you can decide what kind of color you want it to use. You know, when you use apps, right? The apps basically use some set of colors, whether it's red, white, black. You might add a specific color you like. You can ask it to say, okay, use these colors as a primary color. And it's going to use that instruction to build for you. So after that, you begin your prototype. So you hit the prototype, then that's when the real work actually begins because it assumes that you have okay the blueprint and you want to begin prototyping. So the prototype basically goes to writing all the code for you. And again, non-coders, you don't have to worry because it's not even showing you the code, that's everything. You are just seeing the very beautiful part of the output. It displays it right in front of you as it is building. Then when it is done, it loads it for you to see and you can interact with it almost immediately. So let's say after it has finished prototyping, you look at it, you are still not okay with it. Maybe because yeah, they can make mistakes. It will forget to maybe, I don't know if forget is the right language, but then there's something about token. Maybe we'll talk about that more. So it could truncate some set of tokens which make it not to take in almost all of those instructions that you have provided. Provided there were too many instructions, right? So truncating the token means that it's ignoring some of the features we asked it to do. So maybe now that you said that you know this feature, you now want to stay reminded. You just tell it that, okay, start add this feature for me, and immediately does that for you. So after that, this edit obviously is an iteration. You iterate until you are okay, until you are comfortable. So when you pass the first set of instruction, it goes through it, attempt to help you do it. It shows you the output. If you are okay, you click on publish. And before clicking on publish means that you are going almost full blown, like outside for end users to start using. You might be interested in maybe sharing it to your friends. First, okay, I want you to see what this my app looks like before I go out. You know, sometimes they can view your solutions from the angle that you are looking. You might be missing out on some key things. So your friend can tell you that, oh no, you forgot to add it, make it possible for you. There's a part of snake game where you dodge and maybe a maze, and that friend will say, okay, can't you add that maze part? I should be able to select between different types of gaming environment. And you might find that interesting, and you go into the iteration phase again and begin your iteration. So when you are done and comfortable, you hit publish, and that's it. It goes live. So you could, when you hit the publish and it goes live, you could at that point it does not exactly connect it to an actual domain, like a correct domain. It just generates like a random domain for you to use. But if you are interested in having your own domain, you could connect your domain to it and it becomes accessible. Okay, yeah, there's some Firebase use cases. I think that's missing from my slide. So most of the examples we've talked about today, those are the use cases for non-coders, right? Because we didn't talk about how you actually write code and all of these things. We just talked about how you provide the prompt, and it builds based on the prompt you have provided. So that's one use case for non-developers. You go into Firebase Studio environment, you have a very excellent idea about the product you want to build. explain it to the best of your understanding about what you want to do. Give it an instruction, it goes ahead to build the solution for you. Then you see if you are comfortable with it, you publish. If you are not, you go to the iteration phase until you are comfortable. Why for backend engineers, you could also use Firebase Studio to leverage on the AI agents to connect, let's say, AI features, right? You could connect by, let's say, Jenkins. There's an AI library from Google called Jenkins. So that Jenkins is a way for you to easily connect to AI models. So you can connect to multiple models. It has a better support for Gemini and Opus, the Google solution, so you don't expect it to support other solutions more. So you can connect something like OpenAI solution or Entropy, cloud, GPT-4. You connect GPT-4 to it by Jenkins. And so much more. You could also decide to use another solution called Vertex AI. I think the first speaker talked about something around Vertex AI, right? So you could decide to use Vertex AI. So one very, very interesting thing also about Firebase Studio is, you see there's a level between someone who doesn't code and someone who's code, and someone who codes. Now, there's another level between someone who codes and someone who created the model. The way someone who does not code look at someone who codes as a supreme person that has this knowledge about writing good stuff. That's how somebody who also codes look in a way as like a data scientist, someone who writes about this model, because it's uncountable for them how it gets to all of this. So Firebase Studio builds the graph for everybody. So it makes it easy for the coders to connect to models, AI solutions, without worrying about the underlying infrastructure. You don't have to worry about the algorithm used to achieve your prompts. When you send ChatGPT the prompts, how it was able to manipulate your model to get you an answer. You as a technical person, you do not really have to worry about that. All you have to do is connect to the AI, send it some set of prompts. It gives you in a format you can communicate with. If you want it in JSON, you can provide a JSON response. If you want it as a plain text, you can provide a plain text response. You see that it's bridging gap. You don't have to worry about how it works internally. And also for mobile, you might want to build mobile apps that are able to, let's say, confirm what they see. Maybe you put on your camera and you want to be able to know if that's an orange, if that's a lion, and so much more. So you can use Firebase Studio by Vertex AI to maybe take a picture or even a stream feature on Vertex, where you connect the camera, all the bytes getting from the camera, you send it to Vertex AI. The Vertex AI attempts to infer what the screen is seeing and gives you an output. So if you are building a mobile application that you feel is a part of the feature you want to leverage the use of AI, you could easily do this on Firebase Studio. Interestingly, you don't have to write the code about it. You could just import your existing project, tell it to import your existing project means that it has enough context now. So you can tell it that based on my project I've imported, add this feature that enables me to be able to identify what's on the screen. Something like that. You might need to go like a couple of iterations to get what you want, but at the end of the day, it works. Alright, so this is some other additional thing you can do with Firebase Studio. One of it is templating. So when you want to start something new, when I was introducing myself, I told you that some tasks as a developer becomes monotonous. It's the same every day. Like at work, you are doing the same thing. When you're given this thing to implement, it's the same. So rather than starting to write those code from scratch, you could decide to leverage on some set of templates that are available in Firebase Studio. So this set of templates are designed for you to get started faster, so that you don't have to write codes. So there are templates for both backend and front-end engineers that you can use. Maybe template that already has AI feature already connected, so that you don't have to write that AI connection part. You can start up from there. That also works. One other thing is collaboration and sharing. So when we have already established that you can access Firebase Studio over the web. So if you are building an interesting solution, and usually you can get to the part where you get stuck. Let's say we have one person who doesn't really have experience writing code. He stays in Maiduguri and he's writing this by coding, enjoying himself. Then suddenly he hit a roadblock. He could not continue, and maybe the problem he encountered requires someone with a bit of experience to fix. Now, you don't have to remain blocked. You could just easily call a friend, maybe that stays in Lagos, that far, and say you are doing this project and I'm stuck at this point and I want you to help me fix it. Instead of you sending some bunch of files to him or having to drive all the way to Lagos for him to get the solution, you could just send him a link of your environment from the Firebase Studio and he fixes it from there. And then you get the fix for your unit, and that works seamlessly as well. So we've talked about deployment to Firebase Outpost. That's another feature from Firebase Studio. you could leverage on Firebase app hosting to deploy your apps. So you don't have to also worry about the underlying infrastructure. You don't need a DevOps engineer to do this. You just need to click a button when you are done by coding, and then it publishes your solution for you. So again, full stack development with Firebase services. You know, when we talk about how to build a solution, I remember telling you about two sets of people you need. You need a front-end engineer and a back-end engineer. Now, for those people who know how to code, you could be the front-end engineer and ignore the need for the back-end engineer. If you are the back-end engineer, you could be the back-end engineer and ignore the need for the front-end engineer. How about if you are a non-coder? You can ignore the both of them and you just provide some set of prompts and it gives you what you want, right? Now the demo. So let's get our hands dirty. Dirty writing code. Now you could decide to code along with me if you want to. Right, so this is the Firebase Studio official website. If you just go to Firebase Studio, it points you to the environment. Select it. Like I said, you can access it over the phone, but you might not be able to get the best experience, but it works. So you just go search Firebase Studio. So I want this session to be very interactive. So I'll be throwing it at you guys now to tell me what exact app you want us to build. It might be that you have something you have always been looking at and you want to build. So you can say it out, then we'll build it without writing any code. So who wants to try? Alright. Student resource management system. Interesting. Who else has that idea? Who else has something else to do? I thought we had a lot of people who know how to write code. What do you say? Calculate. Okay, calculate. Who else? I like ideas from people who know how to code because they are indeed ambitious. They like to do very big stuff. They are indeed ambitious, so I like ideas from them. I think I'm interested from an idea from you. What do you want us to do? You want to bring it out? You like something practical. You want to try? Just thinking. Okay. Okay. As much as you think that's not good, it is actually. Okay, that's one. You?
Something like maybe the people don't
Interesting. Do you write code? I do. They are very ambitious. So we need more of this type, right? I want like a groundbreaking solution. So that when you are very ambitious, you want us to do something for you. You might just feel like that is very good, but how will you do that without writing any code? But then we'll it.
Using short code
Using short code. Okay. You are going to say something?
An app that shows a bank in the US and can add to amount.
It shows a bank?
A bank in the US and can add to amount.
I don't quite get that.
It states the amount you want in the bank.
You want me to credit yourself in a bank account in the US? Okay. I see what's going on here. Okay. An excellent one. You? Sorry? Only. Is it like to help you reach posting, like maybe you want to post it to every post all this environment come across? Very interesting. How about you?
Nutrition tracking app.
Nutrition tracking.
Like food they eat and like if they need any nutrients in their body, what they lack.
Okay, that's a good one. There's one person here who introduced himself as someone who has a startup or something. Who's that person? Who's that? What's that startup I think? You want to rob you? It was study companion. So how does it help you study? mean like you provide it your handout, then you summarize it? Okay, so it's like a mathematical question, then it's expressive. Okay, that's nice. I'm quite struggling I'm saying like I'm struggling to decide what we don't have all the time. We always can have just one. I don't know whose idea we could go on for. Should we try your nutrition app? No, we can't try your nutrition. I'm not criminals. You have an idea.
How about
Okay, you can inform them about how you want to build. Do you write code? Very good. Yeah.
So what like you create stuff, right? Like abstraction, probably phone number, which one is lost, and
Okay, just like a find me app. Yeah. That's a nice one. So what we're going to do is, I'm interested more in your nutrition app idea, and we can try this tailoring stuff like bespoke way. We can try that over one time. So this is like a landing page of Firebase Studio. Let's give you like a little bit of explanation of the environment, what you can see on your screen. So this is all you get for Firebase Studio. This is all you need to build AI-powered apps as a non-coder, someone who does not know how to write any code whatsoever. So this is the section where you write some prompts of what you want it to do. There are some, you can see that it wrote some prompts you can try. And have that generate poems from photos, you can do that. I best believe you generate those poems using AI, so there's AI connected to it. So imagine you being able to do that without even knowing how to write code. So you can do even more sophisticated stuff, like most of the ideas here are mentioned, by just explaining every information about that idea right inside this box. Then you hit a prototype, and boom, it gives you a blueprint like we mentioned. If you are okay with it, you proceed with the prototyping. Why for the coders? If you prefer to be in charge, like you want to write code and make AI assist you, maybe this environment is where you want to look out for. However, you could start from here as a coder for templating instead of having to write everything from scratch. Because when you want to start a project, if it's an Android app, if the idea requires communicating to backend services, that means you need communication to libraries like Retrofit, Gator. If you are doing web applications, you want to use something like Issues to manage your communications. So instead of setting up all of those things that you know you need, so those are one monotonous thing I talk about. You know it's certain that you need it. It's not something you deliberate about. You can just come here and make a starting point. You ask AI to prepare the environment for you, so that you begin to do the only unique set of things, rather than doing something that's constant, something that you know you always need. You can make it starting. You can do this for both backend applications and front-end applications, not just front-end applications. So, nutrition app, right? So, I want to try this prompt in 2 ways. One prompt, so I'm giving it just a blanket prompt, like build me a nutrition app. You know that's not very good. There are a lot of things hiding behind it. From the snake idea we did, there are a lot of things hiding behind it. Then we'll now try a more sophisticated prompt that explain exactly what we want, what we expect it to do, key features we want, probably even introducing something like color if we require to add. And just to mention, not every idea built here, not AI is not used for every idea you use it. No, there's some idea that does not require AI. So except you ask it to, it wouldn't use it. Except your idea looks like it will be needing AI, it will not add AI to it. So for our nutrition app, I don't know if it is an idea that maybe requires AI. Do you think it's an idea that requires AI? What part of it? very technical. So we'll be wowed if we can get it done by Firebase Studio, right? So I'll just use a very not very detailed prompt to start it. Just build a nutrition tracking app. Does the nutrition tracking app, does it sound like a name? So let's watch Firebase Studio pretty much. So it's trying to come up with the blueprint, like I said. Remember, we've not written any code here. So now, it in fact gave it a name for us. It called it what? Nutriflag Lite, right? And now it has mentioned a feature. It said the features are meal login, nutritional estimation, daily summary, target settings, progress visualization, with a very little instruction. We have not gone into the detail of providing a very much detailed explanation of what we want, where we already know the kind of features and all. Mind you, even though Firebase Studio can draft out an app from a very little information, it is not always advisable. So if you know you want to get the most out of Firebase Studio, you might want to provide it as much information as possible, mentioning every detail you can think of, then it will be able to give you a very, very good app. And we'll be touching, towards the end of this session, we'll be touching on how to provide good prompts. We'll be talking about that too. So now, is there anything we feel like we want to edit here? I can see it has already selected the AI part, nutrition estimation. So it's going to be, it will utilize, so you see, it mentions the feature, then explains what that feature is, so that you can understand it, no technical jargon. So you see, meal login allow users to log their meals, including descriptions and quantities. Nutritional estimation, I think this sign makes you know that it's using AI in this particular feature. I just noticed that, to be honest. Utilize a generative AI tool to estimate the nutritional content, calories, macros of logged meals, given the meal descriptions. So when you provide the meal descriptions, it tries to determine the calories that the food contains, right? So another feature is daily summary. Display a summary of daily nutritional intake, calories and macros. That was one of the key features you mentioned, right? I didn't tell you this. It's kind of like inferred that feature should be needed. So another thing is progress visualization. Visually display progress towards daily targets using progress bars. I don't quite really understand that. Okay, yeah. Maybe if you have a target, it's going to display your progress, showing whether you have hit the target or not. It's nice to have feature. Now, to the styling. Now I told you about it trying to use the very good way to add colors to app. It uses three colors, primary, secondary, and what's the last one? Assets color, yeah. It uses assets color, yeah. So these are the three colors. I guess we did the first one is the primary color, the second one is the secondary. Okay, it's labels it. Nice. So you see, this is your primary, this is your secondary, and this is asset. I like to be very polite when I'm talking to you guys. So I'll tell it please. Now you could overload the feature, you could add additional feature not limited to this. So if you have more and more edits you want to do, you could add that added, okay? Okay. Okay, so we are going to do that in English. I know you are speaking English, but then are you saying that we should add a feature that makes it possible for people to add their health information? Okay, so that you can suggest food that are not that good for diabetes patients, right? Interesting. You? Okay, I think also that should fall under the health thing, your health information. I think your weight to be level. Nice one. You. Interesting. Now, you see, I like the fact that we are very, very interactive in the session. So, thanks. So, you see that you are able to provide features that we want without worrying about what it takes to get it done. This is the power of AI. and that's how fast-paced it is. Okay. So starting with you, you said we should add users be able to add their health information. So remember, we've added one feature before. We could add even more and more feature, and it knows how to organize them into the list of features you have there. Someone mentioned one particular feature. What was that? Push notification. So, what would this push notification be for? Remind them. Yes, remind them. Alright, so this set of additional features will be added. So these are the set of additional features we'll be adding. So we had the edit phase. We'll give it the initial prompt. It has given us a blueprint. Now we're not very okay with blueprints. We're giving it additional information to handle. So if we are okay with this, we just really it. Send. Remember, you can do this in two ways. You can decide to edit it over the top here. There's an edit button that was previously here. It's back to the side. Or you just add the prompt directly. So looking at it, you can see that it has updated the list of features to add those features we have asked it to. So one of it, you can see suggest better intake. You can see it down here. It says suggest better food intake options based on log mails and user health information. The LLM will use reasoning, making it into. LLM means large language model. It's another technical term you don't have to worry about. So again, add health information, allow users to add health information such as diabetic status and weight. So someone mentioned weight and information about their diabetic status. So it has added a feature. Then it push notification. Send push notification to remind users to upload health status if they haven't, and also show nutrition summary. So we want this push notification to be able to remind users to be able to update their health status if they are not, and also to inform them that their nutrition summary is available for them to go and view. You know, you might not know that it has provided you with this summary. So if we're okay again with this, we can begin the prototype. Right, another ambitious user. No, go on. Interesting. That's a very good one. So notify the users to drink water. Excellent. I forgot to say please. Alright. So it has added that. You see, remind users to drink water. That's added the feature. I think this is enough for us to get started. So to start, we just need to prototype this app. Remember, we've not written any code. So yeah, this is the part where it's trying to write the code. You can see visually going through different files. It's another part of it that you do not have to worry about if you are not a technical person. Just wait for it to perform its magic, then wait for the desired output, then you interact with it. What do you say? Yeah. You know, if you notice within the script, you can see parts where it's trying to use Jenkins And if you remember, I mentioned something about Jenkins as a library from Google to interact with other large language models. So the AI-powered part of this application requires it to communicate to a large language model. So this Jenkins part is what helps us do that. So it uses this Jenkins to, I forgot what that feature is. Okay, to suggest better food intake. So it passes some set of instruction to Jenkins. Jenkins so really wants to provide those better food intake. So while we wait for it to perform its magic, I want to show you some set of things I was able to build without writing any code. So one of it is this. That's the game I was talking about. I actually built it. So I built it. It runs on mobile. Specifically, it runs on Android, and it's what it looks like. It was an interesting game. It works just like a regular snake game, you know. And but this, I'm not even a person, so I let it pass through the wall, and you can get to eat any of those foods, and it keeps track of score. And you can see that starting is actually play, pause and play, and that's one bit of difficult thing, right? So it's supposed to use a pause and play button, but in a way it was causing it not to load. It tried and tried, it was not working. But then because I have the technical experience to understand what's going on, I was able to go inside it to make it fix. But you don't have to be scared. Remember, it allows collaboration and code sharing. If you have like an experienced person, you can always seek their help to get it done. So this is one thing I built, the state game, and this is yet another thing I built with it. Okay, I think I would just say I was able to build this 99% code free. Let's assume the person play button took 1% of it, right? So this is the very amazing thing I did. You see this idea, I've had it for a very long time, as long as 2020. It's about helping people find house. So if you want to rent the house, rather than having to go through an agent, then hiking the price of the house, charging you some fees. So if you want to steal my ideas, I'm putting it for you. So this will just help you get rid of that part of securing your house. You can just come over here, give it the description of the house that you want, and you get it. You get information about the house. You get information about the past history of people who have stayed in the house. Also, if the landlord is troublesome, you can get information about whether I can come with people who have talked about it. And it can also help you suggest like a better house. You know, it's learning, you know, you can in a way add AI to this. I did add AI by the way, but I can't. We'll see the power, right? So it can help you suggest a kind of house that you can rent because of your past history of houses that you have been renting. So you can tell that, okay, this guy I'm only renting 2 bedroom. So then I would always suggest 2 bedroom to him or get. So it can help you do that as well. And if you like, it is also mobile responsive. You know, there's a thing with building web applications. You want to make sure that everyone can access them equally. You want to make the web people not to see scan the screen. So you want to distribute the visual stuff all across the screen so that everything looks very nice. And also, you want when you are using an iPad, you should be able to see some reasonable part of what you are displaying. So this is like a view on iPad. You see it's still looking good. I forgot to add like a phone display, but then you can check that out. Okay, so if you want to see what the app looks like, you can scan this barcode and access it via your phone, or maybe copy the link. I didn't place the link here. It's a very long link, so I just prepared to leave it to you. So if you are able to access it, you will confirm that it's mobile responsive. Whether you're using it from an Android or any kind of browser you're using, it is responsive, you can interact with it. Has anyone been able to access it?
Yes.
Okay. Is it loading? Good. It's not working for you? Okay, good. You see it's mobile responsive. For this, it's 100%. I didn't write any code. And in fact, I can improve it and add the AI part I was talking about and so much more. let's see the phase our build has gotten to. Okay, it's done. So, this is our nutrition tracking app with only very little to no meaningful prompts. Build us a nutrition tracking app. That's the video we said. And it was able to come up with this. So let me give you a bit of talk before we interact with this our app. So a bit of talk of the environment is, you see this part where you can see the display of this app is the web browser. So when it's finished building, it provides the output of the web browser so that you can access it and build it. And on the right side, it's Gemini, where you can communicate and send in prompts, or okay, you can call it a prototyping agent. Right? This is a prototyping agent. You can send it additional information of things you want it to improve. When you interact with the app, obviously you will find some things you forgot to do. Remember we talked about the token truncation thing, right? So it might miss out doing some things that are quite important. Then you can come to the prototyping environment to ask it to do those things, right? It's definitely going to be able to do anything you are providing. There are even more ways to interact with it, of which we'll be seeing. If you want to share, you can share. If you want to put it in a new tab, maybe because you think this stuff is distracting, you can just open it in a new tab using this button. Mind you, this has been deployed for you within Firebase so that you can access it in a dev environment. So this is what the app looks like. But I think for me, I would prefer to use it within the environment so that when we make our prompt, you can see the output of our prompt. It's more cool that way. And you could copy the link here. If you want to access it, you could also use the barcode here to access it. But I think because at the moment, the project is not public, so if you should try to access it by the barcode, it might not work. So maybe making it public is another way to access it. So now it's public. So if you should scan this barcode, you can see the output. I'm just trying to give you like a tour of the environment. Okay, so there's this very interesting feature in Firebase Studio environment that I really like, that also makes it very easy for the non-coders to make changes. So you see, sometimes it might be very difficult to use your words to explain the kind of change you want. But then, you see this button over here, you can use it to highlight some set of section in the screen. This already means I've highlighted the whole screen, but that's not the goal. So maybe I want to talk about this node now. I will highlight this button, or this button. I can highlight this button, and maybe I want to say, make this particular button red, for whatever reason. So I would say, and that's all. It picks up the instruction and immediately starts making the changes. So let's watch it make those changes and display them. Yeah, we've not interacted with the app. Good. Okay, you see, it was not able to make the change. That's one part of it. Then you could actually ask to try again. There's a try again button here. I don't know if you can see it. You can ask it to try again, and it gives it another try. Voila, that's done it. Okay, so maybe after putting in this red button, then you discover that this was a very bad idea. Then you want to go back to your second state. Remember, this change you have introduced is a very small change. So maybe you can risk adding a new prompt or going into the code if you can. But there is actually a very cool way to restore back the initial state so that you don't have to provide prompts. So we'll just go back here. So for every prompt you give, the state of the previous stage of the application is being stored somewhere for you. The previous state of the application is stored while you're using the next set of prompts to provide. So every of your prompts is being stored with the effect on the application. So we want to return it back to the previous state, or even an older state. You can always scroll within this place and access all of those states. So we want to take it back to the state where the button was green. We don't want it to be red anymore. So come here and say restore. Again, that's it. We didn't say how to write any code. And the code has been tell us. you feel replaced. So bad. But trust me, if you don't write code and you want to enjoy building app Gemini, the moment you are telling it please as much as you can, please attend the interview, you'll always know what you want. Okay, so let's interact with the app and see what it has done for us. Okay, for this, let's check it in a very new tab so that we'll have a very new view. You see when it was trying to load, you see that it tried to there's a very visual user experience thing it's doing right now that is called schema effect. Do you know what schema effect is? Do you? Okay, so schema effect is like an interesting way to load items to keep the user waiting even more, right? So instead of displaying a blank screen, blank screen are quite annoying. It makes you feel the app is taking longer to load, even though it might not be. It might take split seconds to respond to you, but it can get really annoying and you leave. So it uses schema effect, even without telling it, to handle displaying the skeleton of the page before the actual content is loaded. So if you notice, if you refresh it, you see the skeleton displaying. Are you seeing it? Before it loads the content. Did you see that? So that's a very good user experience. It helps users stay engaged in the product. So that's one good thing we see it did. We did not ask you to do this. It did it out of the box with just prompt. So one other thing again is if you are good with SEO, you will notice that if you have taken a digital marketing course with Google, one old digital marketing course, you remember Google told you something about adding the link that takes you to the home of your page as the logo up, right? Let's see whether he did that for us. So bad, he didn't do that. Maybe it's because you know say this. He didn't do it. So I was expecting it to make this. It should navigate this to the home of the app every time you click on it, but it didn't. But now we know that we could give it the set of prompts to get that done for us, right? So let's try to interact with the app. The details is calling for me. I don't know where to start from. For the health information, keep your health details up to date, better suggestion. So this is weight. Are you diabetic? The feature that someone requested. So you can toggle this to determine whether you are diabetic or not. And we select this, they save health info. So it says there's a mode that says health info save. I don't know if you can see it down here. Just tell me that you're saved. So the next thing we want to do is daily target. So we could say 2,000 calories. That's a lot. Protein, carbohydrates, and fat. Save target. Okay, target saved. Then what else we want to do? Meal description. What kind of meal description should we give it?
If someone said rice and beans with fish. Alright, quantity, 1 plate, 200 grams, 1 cup. Okay, so we say 1 plate. You can log me, estimate. Let's see what it does.
Error will not estimate nutrition. Please try again. Meal up. Okay, so it has a state of the art error handling here because even though our meal suggestion, but it will not estimate the nutrition, it helps us save the nutrition down, right? At least it's handling a part of the instruction while leaving the other part that it will not handle. I don't know why. That could be maybe there's an error. That is something else also we can have down as something we adjust in the prompt. So if you want to be a very good bipolar, it means that you need to have some set of write down where you are writing some edge cases you want to fix. So we have one was for us to make sure that the icon at the top navigates us back to the home page. And we found the second one now for it to estimate food, the estimation of food display, which makes it 2. So here is the daily progress. Today's intake. Then we can use this button to get suggestion. Now, these are the news we've logged so far. You can see we have logged rice and beans with fish. I hit the button twice, remember? So it saved it twice. So now we could also even go a bit technical to say we do not want repetition of food. But maybe that's not good because it's possible for you to want to eat rice and beans again because you like it. So maybe we can keep it right, we can keep it this way. And it also makes it possible for us to be able to remove a food. We didn't ask you to do all of these things. Remember the prompt, you just say nutrition tracking app, and you was able to get all of this done. So we can ask it to remove a food. Now we have it. We have a very handy button here also to clear all the logs. So if you use this, it means it's going to delete all the food. Now, it also helps us display empty state, right? So this is an empty state to signify that we don't have any item on our list. You see, right? And very, very interesting, I discovered, you see, just before I went down here, this button was clickable. That was because we have some food. Now, when we remove the food, it was able to detect that and make button disabled. You see, we didn't ask it to do that. It was intelligent enough to know that we needed that feature, and it's what it implemented. That's one AI, by the way, it's just some normal regular code. I think that's the entire core of the application, and we have two set of things we want to improve. We want it to be able to estimate nutrition. Okay, maybe it's the food we are providing. Let's, these models are well trained for European and American related foods. Maybe they don't like our rice and fish. Let's maybe put something that has a lot of carbs, right? Don't you put like pizza? We have pizza and egg. We'll just like it anyway. Okay, maybe that's a very excellent interpretation. Maybe it wants us to add a single food. That would be a limitation we might want to update. We might say we prefer people to be able to be more expressive by adding a lot of food all at once, right? So, it's taking long. Still the same thing, he was not able to make the change. Maybe it's the spelling of the pizza. Still wasn't able to add it. Still the same. So we are going to be considering that as one of our first fix. So if you notice within the string, when you click it went down at the bottom left, you can see it saying 2 issues. This might just mean that it has by itself detect the issues we are experiencing because it also does that and it does the fixing by itself. Because when you give it a prompt, it designs based on the prompt you have given it. It attempts to run it to make sure it's working. It just doesn't, it will be displaying something that's not working for you. So it tests it. If it is not working, it attempts a fix. So let's go back to the studio to see if we have any information there. Trying to refresh the video. This is one unfriendly interface for people who don't write code. So maybe you want to avoid it as much as you can, except you know what it means and how to fix it. So you could ignore this. Okay, so when you open this, right, you open this within the AI agent, the prototyping agent, you can see what it said. I have detected an error. Want me to help fix it? So you see, it's very handy again. You don't know how to write code. You just hit the fix error. Then if you prefer to edit the code because you know how to, you can use edit code. So you see, it's attempting to make the fix. It detected it and it's fixing it for us. So if you really want to know where the error is coming from, you can see it's pointing at the error down here. It's a white space issues over here. Okay. Yeah, fixed up. I don't know if this is ever connected to, maybe this fix will help us. It doesn't. So we didn't actually try this particular button. Get suggestion. What does it do? This is the AI part of our solution. Could not get suggestion, please try it. There is also an error here. Oh, it needs the API key. So you see, I clicked the button up here, so that's the way to toggle between the Firebase Studio prototyping agent screen and the code editor. So if you, like I said, we like to be more in charge because you want to write code. You can use this button up here to toggle between the Firebase Studio and the code interface so that you can make changes. Okay, so I think there was a step we missed here, right? We're supposed to add our our Gemini API key. So this Gemini API key is what makes it possible for us to communicate with the LLMs, like large language models, the Gemini itself. So if we don't add this API key, it's more as if it wouldn't know what model to communicate to and what accounts it should attach that model to. So when you're a Google user, you already have access to Gemini, especially when you have been onboarded in environments like Google AI Studio or Google Cloud. You can always access the API key. So I think I missed out at the point of our first point. So it was asking of the API key right here. So we can use this link to generate the API key. Also not a very technical thing. So now, remember I told you that it's creating a project down for you. So you click on this. Now you can copy the API key and return back to the AI Studio. Oh, it's not letting me make it. I think that's because we missed it. But now, because I understand where to fix this problem, I can go into the code. These are the very little problem of my coding, right? You don't have the technical experience. So you can go inside the code. Okay, maybe we can try asking it to use the API you provided, but maybe you can do it. So for the sake of time, I will not be able to make all of those fixes, but you get the idea of the Firebase Studio, what it can do. So you can already start building amazing ideas, AI-powered ideas. So you have the startup. You do not have to be technical or need a technical person to get started. You could just basically code it out. You could give it some instruction, no matter how little. You could be a lot more descriptive to get the most out of it. If you can get this this very nice interface from the very little information we gave it, imagine if we are giving it a more descriptive information. Maybe you can try your idea. You can give it a very descriptive information since you know about the idea. Then it's going to build on your prompt. We might not be able to try the API key thing. So you were able to see what I was able to build. I showed you the snake game and the estate management thing. You were able to access it by your phone. That was 100% Firebase coding. I did not have to write any single code. At that point, I had already connected my API key, so I didn't need to struggle. So we were able to, I don't know if you can, is there anyone who has not been able to access it? You can check it by this barcode. So let's talk about prompt design best practice. Be clear and specific. So when you want to give a prompt to large language models, remember, your prompt can mean many things. So if you really want it to give you what you want, give it a unique set of instructions about your prompt so that you get what you want. Because your prompt in itself can be ambiguous, then it just happens to answer you based on what he feels is closer to what you're asking for. But rather than stressing it to go through the flow of deciding what exactly you want, how about you explain it more? Give it a unique set of instructions about your prompt. By unique set of instruction, I mean something that explains what you are trying to do even more. So one other thing again is providing context. So you can provide context for AI models by, if you are happening to write code, giving it access to your own code base if you are not maybe security concerned, makes it easy for you to be able to suggest fixes for you, and it makes it easy for you to be able to help you fix error or add feature. If you don't provide it context, it just tries to guess, and you will have to fill in the gap as much. But if it has enough context, it can give you closer to the solution of what you want. Another thing is using examples. So remember that we just built nutrition tracking app. We could build it in a way that we are telling Gemini an example of a nutrition tracking app. Maybe by providing the name, maybe there's a popular nutrition tracking app. We could provide the name and say, build us a nutrition tracking app like XYZ nutrition tracking app. So it has an example to begin with. So that makes it easy for it to be able to provide you a solution of like as close to what you want. Of course, there are a lot of best practices for prompts. These are just a very important one that makes a very huge difference when you're able to start using it. So Gemini, Firebase Studio also has some set of limitations. One of it is that there is something called vendor locking. I don't know if you know what vendor locking is. So vendor locking is a way that a producer tries to indirectly make you lock into their own solutions. So they create things that make it a bit difficult for you to leave. So for example, most of the tools that are being used within Firebase Studio are Google solutions, right? It's not like it does not allow you to connect to other solutions. You know, we said that you can connect to OpenAI solutions, GPT-4, Claude, and a lot of them. But you cannot get a seamless connection as connected to Gemini. It is not seamless. You see, we're able to interact with it. Immediately you ask it, any AI feature is also built, it's going to use Gemini if you don't specify. And if you specify a model, you might risk encountering a lot of errors because I don't know, it's not the implementation might not be as seamless compared to using Google-related products, and that is in a way related to vendor locking problem. So another thing is limited framework support. So for this prototyping tool, you will notice that immediately it built us a web-based solution. What if we meant a mobile application? Yeah, it would have done that. But the problem is if it uses a mobile solutions like writing a native application or using agnostic solutions like Flutter and React Native, the problem there is it does not have a very good support for this type of solution. It will attempt to do it, but you will run into a lot of errors. Right? At the current stage, it's in a trial stage, in a test stage, in a stage. So we are hoping that in the future it's going to have better support for mobile solutions like React Native and so much more. So one other thing is AI assistance constraints. So Gemini can make mistakes. I don't know if you have encountered such. It can make mistakes. It can forget to add some information you have provided. So you want to use it with a lot of caution. You want to be making sure you are vetting what it does, confirms it to meet up your expectation. Otherwise, you might not get the exact thing, even if you provide state-of-the-art prompt. One other thing is limited workspace availability. Firebase Studio at the moment, for a free account, I think you can only add 10 workspace. You can only create, let's say, 10 applications within it with a free account. But if you want to create more, you need to sign up for Google Developer Program. So if you sign up for Google Developer Program, you'll be able to create even more applications. I think as much as 30 workspaces can be created. So another thing is billing problem. We didn't get to touch on this, but for you to use Firebase Studio to get the most out of it, you have got to connect your card. It might not be it at the moment. They're not yet. Is that where you draw the line? I thought AI is amazing. Yeah, so you have to connect your card. And we know we live in a third world country where having to communicate with most of our payment gateways is quite difficult for international goods and products, right? So for me, I was able to connect a DOM card, like a dollars domiciliary account card, and it worked. In fact, I tried so many DOM cards, it didn't work, but eventually I was able to get it done with UBA DOM card. So you would need to do that. I think companies like Cheaper Cash offer virtual DOM card, and it will charge. It will charge, provided that, yeah, at the beginning. So it uses a pay as you go with it. So the more you use, okay, you can imagine that that solution about the estate management app, the bill around it for me for this month is $0.018, $16. That's 16 naira. So if it eventually is going to charge, it's very negligible amount. It's negligible to spend. So that's the billing problem. So in conclusion, Firebase Studio helps coders and non-coders to quickly acquire application faster using natural languages. But this does not exactly mean that it churn out the ability to code, right? And also, it does not also mean that AI is readily available to replace tech guys, engineers. It is not going to replace them. But it makes it easier for the fact tech people. This is just my own opinion. It makes it easier for tech people to replace even other people. And it makes non-coders be able to build powerful applications on their own without any experience. So if you know you want to be at the top of your game, it's still very important that you have a bit of understanding of what's going on under you. So that when you get stuck, you can always prepare a change, you can make it fix without requiring people. Because you know the moment you encounter blockers and you need someone to help you fix it, you can guess that person might be doing their own stuff. It might get you so bored and unmotivated and you quit your idea. So having just a bit of understanding of what is going on under you can be really, really helpful. So this is like a Q&A section. Is there? I can take a question, just one question because of time. Yeah.
You said you rejected cards. What was the reason?
So there are certain limitations to reject Nigerian cards when you want to buy online. So some companies will accept our cards. So those are yeah, regardless of the state, whether Master and Visa, even American Express, right?
Okay, we have come to the end of the event. If you want to connect with me, you can just scan the barcode to connect. You have all my social media accounts, you can connect with me. It was nice having this session with you all. Thank you very much for listening.
QR code.